Hi, everyone. I'm Sean McBride, a student at Full Stack Academy, and today I'd like to present the outcome of my Stackathon hackathon project. I've built Keypunch, the first lightweight text editor built with the mainframe in mind. So I have just a couple of slides to talk through so you can kind of appreciate what's going on behind the scenes. But right here, this is a picture, I believe it's like 1950s Texas A&M, a couple of female programmers working at a Keypunch. And so you see that keyboard there, basically they type in a letter and it gets encoded on an IBM punch card here. Fun fact, this thing where the input cards come in is called the hopper. Okay, so once you have that, you have a punch card that looks like this. This is actually one that I kind of generated with the first line of code that I'll show later. This gets fed into a card reader, which then basically goes into the mainframe computer. This is just a screenshot from admin. And here's just kind of a close-up of the console. You'll see some of the UI elements from my editor kind of take cues from this. Notice these like blinky things and these buttons and stuff. And then finally, it basically drops out of this chute at the bottom of this line printer thing with this like green and white, like extra wide printer paper stuff. And you get like your results kind of like that. So, you know, when you do this, you'd code up your program, you'd hand off your punch cards to the operator, and it would take like a couple of weeks to get your output. And so today I'm going to kind of show the same workflow, but we're going to be able to do it in a couple of seconds. And, you know, I guess one other fun fact. So my grandmother actually worked as like a Keypunch operator, and she met my grandfather, who was a mainframe operator. So they kind of met passing, you know, punch cards back and forth. Kind of cool. Okay, so here we are. Here's Keypunch. It's built on Electron, like a lot of other text editors like VS Code or Atom. It uses React and Redux under the scenes, and it's got a Node.js module that is somewhat isolated that I'm hoping to break out later that does a lot of the scraping for interacting with the mainframe. I've got kind of normal open, save actions and things like that. And so I've just opened this is called a job control language. And basically what I'm going to demonstrate is like the most ridiculous example ever. This is kind of like typing in echo and sending in a string. We're just going to send some arbitrary string to the mainframe. It's going to do a lot of whirling and stuff and then spit the exact same thing back out. And each of these lines here are actually basically punch cards. So it's like going to be like 17 punch cards or something like that. In terms of the user interface, like I want to brag a little bit about my SVGs here. So I did like these kind of green printout paper punch card and like a mainframe console in Adobe Illustrator. And down here, this is kind of like taking design ideas from the mainframe console. I have a little test button so you can see your little blinky indicator lights. Just to, you would actually have to do these like tests to make sure that the little light bulbs didn't burn out, and just to make sure that things were working right. So this is going to cycle through a test. And then over here, I basically have like two themes, like light and dark. I always like dark. Okay, so in a second here, this will finish. So we have our JCL. I'd like to go ahead and connect to the mainframe. Okay, we're connected. And now I'd like to press load, and that's going to ship off our bunch of punch cards for mainframe processing. I would like to submit. Yep. Okay. And so I've got a couple of other views here. When we want to view output, we click the like green tab line paper, like kind of signifies what the output would look like in the 60s. We're connecting. Okay, and so we have our different jobs here. You can see that I've done some different ones before. This is all built with basically off-the-shelf React components. generally pretty good. Like, it's nice to be able to build UIs quicker. There's like a couple of weird render issues which I couldn't diagnose because it's other people's code that I couldn't understand. So if I go here to our most recent job, I can hit download and download, and it's actually downloaded, but I have to click back, and then now I can see it. Okay. So we can see all sorts of weird meta information about the batch job, 17 punch cards, like I said. And then, it does all this work. Here's what we passed in. And then finally, down here at the bottom, here's our like echo comment back out. So that's like the batch processing craziness. I mean, this is kind of a silly example, but you could actually put in like a COBOL or something else here and do real stuff if you wanted. So that's the batch processing. I was able to have a little bit more time. And I started to implement kind of a second user story, which is accessing some of the persistent mainframe data stores, which are stored on disk. So the mainframe is like a totally different kind of data structure system. All of these things are called data sets. They're kind of like one level deep directories, and then within them they have it's kind of like files are called members. And so here I've got the ability to pull down mainframe data set members, and here's one that I just like pre-populated with their nice ASCII art thing that Mark Davis liked, and then some just different fun facts about stuff. So this is just fun facts about this program. So all of the communication with the mainframe is actually happening over FTP. I'm using a Node.js FTP module, and then I kind of have layered on top of it with all the weird mainframe site commands and stuff. Should theoretically work with mainframes going back to 1996. There's some like old systems out there. All of this text actually isn't in ASCII. It's in a different character encoding format called EBCDIC, which is like an alternate one also from 1963. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So special thanks to Fred Bader, one of my old IBM coworkers, who helped me with some of the mainframe job control language. I really don't know that language and had some issues with it, and he helped me make sure that that stuff would be able to work so I could focus on the JavaScript. And then finally, Marcel Mitron, who gave me access to some IBM mainframe system resources. So that's everything. Thank you.